All right. Let people jet in here before we get
Right.
started.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning,
morning.
everybody.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. And about 10:01, I'll give it to about 10:02 and we'll get started. All right. Here we go. I'll make Don. I have to do the whole co-host thing here. There we go. And Raul.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I would
Perfect.
just make everybody co-host. Just see how that goes.
People be sharing stuff. They'd be like, probably be muting me.
It would be chaos.
Dogs and cats living together. I know, right?
That's the line I use when we talk about federal fair housing laws. Talk about federal fair housing laws, and they say, "Is this a mixed neighborhood?" Say, "Yep, cats and dogs both live there."
Yep. Using the Ghostbuster reference, of course, but yeah. Okay. Go ahead and let those guys in.
Yes.
I got it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay.
I want to start off by saying I'm going to get some emails out here shortly to everybody. Now, this is a smaller group, but on Wednesday we do have our CE class. We have no flyer for it, but Brian, our cash and forms insurance guy, is doing an insurance class on Wednesday morning from 10 to 11, and then we have a appraiser class right after that. So it's like only 2 hours, 2 1-hour clock hour classes from 10 to noon. And then Don's got his Contracts 101 class right after that, all in the KD training room. So I'll get that out to you guys today. It'll be RSA, so I'm just trying to promote it. And then I'll have all the rest of the CE classes posted by today as well for the rest of the year. It's been behind. And then one other request to all of you, and I'll say this on email as well, is I get a lot of things to sign every single day. Don knows this. And Raul does as well. But it would be really helpful if the agent sent it to me in DocuSign or ThinaSign or .loop or whatever. But I'll actually sign them right away. I think I signed like 25 things this morning, and they were all attachments. So you have to, so you download the attachment, upload the attachment. It's kind of a pain. So if they want it signed fast, send it to me in a form I can sign it. So.
And send it to you directly, not broker HOU at hsmove.com.
Correct. Yep.
Especially the ones that's for the transfer form of listing or listing form. We also have the steps there to follow where they'll complete each section. And it's already the template where it's almost half complete. They just need to upload the documents to their electronic signature kind of portal, either DocuSign, AuthentiSign, whichever they use, .loop, and makes it a lot easier for Marty and everybody. Yeah. Go directly also to HARMS or MSQA. Yeah. HAR.
That's helpful.
Email. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're blurry, Marty.
I'm blurry. I am blurry.
Yes.
Why am I blurry?
Either that or my eyes are, but everybody else is clear. So I don't
Hold
know.
on here.
What's going on?
I don't have. Hold on. Oh, I do have. Wait.
Maybe you're meant for the background to be.
No, it's still blurry.
That's weird.
Maybe your lens. Maybe something on your lens.
Oh, could be. Who knows? Here.
No.
Nope.
No, I don't know.
Well, I'll just
That's
be blurry.
weird. That's weird.
Here, let me turn it off and turn it on.
It's like you're in a fog.
Hi, everyone.
Morning.
Hey, Jeanette.
There
There
you
it is.
are. Yeah, there you go. Oh my God, just blur it back. No.
Put it
Yeah,
back.
he's good now. Here's a handsome man.
Thank you.
I just want to give kudos to who's ever handling the 1099 corrections. I had something that I found on my report that was incorrect. It had switched the broker commission with the buying agent commission, and they had it fixed within 72 hours. I was shocked that they got it fixed that quickly. So quick response.
That's awesome. I'll let them know. I know the Christian's helping on that, but I'll find out who's the main person. Thank you, Jeanette. It's great feedback.
It was Taylor. Somebody named Taylor contacted me back.
Yep.
I talked to her originally, and then, well, I can't remember whether I talked to her on the phone or whether I contacted her online, but she came back like quickly. So
Awesome. I'll pass it on. So I was chewing, sorry. Doing new construction properties. Don and I were just talking about this weekend. I was down in Orange showing properties to some friends that I've known from Washington State. I helped their friends move down last year. Now they want to move down and be neighbors. And I was surprised, Don. They were using Trek forms. They weren't using
really?
forms. Yeah. They use a Trek contract. So
New build. Were they a new builder? Didn't you say that they were just coming to Texas? They probably haven't had time to create their own yet.
DSLD Builder. Apparently, Two Step Farms is also DSLD Builder as well, but this is down there in Orange. They have 3 sites down there. I was pretty surprised. But it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, 1,800 square feet, 2-car garage. Pretty nice. Pretty like a Lennar type level home, if you will, for $260. And so I'm like, all right. But and one of the things I thought was interesting, because I've been in a lot of new construction in the past, they have it all on site. Their own lender, their own title. They have all their color, their choices in the model home. So the client picks the lot, picks the elevation, picks all their colors, their siding, that kind of stuff right there. They do the contract. It's pretty slick. So it's
cool that they're using Trek forms. I mean, that you don't have to worry about what might be hidden in their contract or anything. That's cool.
They gave the forms, documents to me first. I reviewed all of them, went over them with my client, and then had my client sign it. It's pretty sweet. So just any experience, any good or bad experience with new home construction lately, guys? So anything? Good morning, Myrna.
We had one last week where the agent was selling
Morning,
a new
I'm
home.
sorry. You're listening to me.
Use the builder's lender, and the buyer didn't qualify, and they didn't get their earnest money back either.
That's a good thing to bring up too, because oftentimes we assume that if they use the builder's lender that they have a way out. No, they still have to apply in time. There's no real provision typically in builder documents that provide protection for the buyer. Sometimes they have the option of letting the buyer out, but there are a lot of benefits to buying new construction, but there's also a lot of things that you have to advise our clients. Say, hey, you're kind of into this, That was one more thing too that was very interesting with this builder that I've not seen before, probably in my entire career, was no earnest money, no option money, 0. It's just an agreement, execute a contract, and then if they back out, they back out. But otherwise, it's like a handshake deal almost.
Wow,
the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
I mean, no option money. I mean, that's typical, but wow, no earnest money.
No earnest money. Yeah.
We just trust your signature.
Yep, I know. What a novel idea, right?
I guess that was good for the buyer.
Great for the buyer. You're right. Yeah.
And and in this case, they were given $6,000 towards closing costs, plus they were given free blinds, whatever else, and they were able to use like $2,600 versus to upgrades. So. Nice. Unless the only money out of their pocket would be things above and beyond that, the upgrades they wanted. So it was cool.
Hey, I have a question for you, Marty. But did they have to be pre-qualified through their lender before they were allowed to sign the contract?
This is that's the thing. If using their lender, using their and obviously they're well qualified. But the point is, they have a house to sell in Washington. But still, they closed in August, and it worked out well for them. So
awesome.
Yeah. It was nice to be around and see the process is different that I'm used to,
So it's just dirt right now. It's not one that they had started.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And of course, I got my boots all muddy. It is what it is. So, anything else going on, guys? You seen anything over the weekend? Getting busier? How's your open houses going? How's your listings going?
We did some shadow showings, also in a subdivision with two mentees, and they were kind of learning as we walked in this neighborhood. It's from D.R. Horton, and it's a small kind of a complex. They're doing subdivision within this kind of northern Heights area,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Uh-oh.
Raul got fuzzy, then he's gone now too. Hope they'll come back.
Uh-oh.
Oh, he's moving. Okay.
He's on the move.
He's on the move. Yep, he's coming back. So,
Anyway. You were talking about insurance. It's still a good idea now during option period to check out insurance to make sure what that premium's going to be. Because boy, we had this again, another one that happened last week where the buyer found out that the amount of their insurance was going to make their monthly payment much higher than what they wanted. Unfortunately, they still qualified and there was no way out. They should have checked that out during the option period. And we need to make sure they do that.
Yeah, oftentimes with a third-party financing too, they included that, by the way, in the new construction, which I thought was interesting. Because, typically builder docs don't include something like that. It's like if you're approved or not approved, doesn't matter. Then we're not dealing with any earnest money, so it really doesn't matter at all. But to your point, even if they can qualify for the loan payment and they can get insurance, they can't terminate based on property approval because they're still approved.
Yep.
It's only if they can't get insurance whatsoever.
Yep.
Flood
Or
zone.
fire approval either because they still qualify.
Yep.
Yep.
I saw interesting things too. The first time in a while I've seen new construction on well and septic this weekend too. These weren't them, but I'm just like, oh, interesting. But the flood zones, they kind of built them up above and so forth. So yes, that.
Yes, sir. Good morning to everybody. Just wanted to wrap around back and maybe pay a little bit more attention to what Don said. He did a class for us. I was in the Woodland office last week. A wonderful class. Obviously, Don is a master teacher. So what you can't expect anything less. Be that as it may. One of one of the issues that he brought up, a lot of issues, he brought that was very important. But one of them is what he just mentioned. And for a lot of reasons, the option period, sometimes, we as agents, we get locked into the fact that it's going to be inspection. But what Don brought up is that the option period doesn't necessarily have to be just inspection.
Mm-hmm.
It could also be insurance. So this is a time frame, if we are watching out for our clients' interest, to not only look at the inspection report, but to look at the insurance portfolio in terms of, okay, how much. So this option period, we just have to think outside of the box. It's not inspection. It's a lot of different things that allows the client to back out in a reasonable amount of time if some of the factors don't play out.
Well, yeah, exactly right. I'm glad you said that as well. That we talk a lot about. There's no inspection period. You can inspect anytime you want during the contract, and so we oftentimes do that during the option period because it's your unrestricted right to terminate for any reason. I come from a state where we call that a feasibility period. It's the same thing when you're buying land and stuff. Is during this period of time, whether it's 7 days, 10 days, 15 days. You don't have to give a reason. You do all your due diligence. You find out your insurance. You find out your mortgage. You find out your homeowner's insurance. You find out your inspections. You do everything you can to get all the information that you need to make a valid decision to move forward as a client. And you're right, to educate our buyers on this and saying this is your period of time to do your homework, to get all the answers you need. If you need to, get out there, get an HVAC person out there, a roofer out there, whatever it may be, because we don't have to give a reason. This is a way for us to bail. Afterwards, we can still do inspections, but we don't have the unrestricted right to terminate. So that is good. To reframe it in the sense, this is not your inspection period. This is your period to find out all the answers you need. Don or Raul, want to add to that?
Nope. I think that's it. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm good with it.
Yeah. Well, it is a reframing of it, though, too, because oftentimes agents will communicate that. This is your time to do inspection. Well, it's more than that. It's everything. So, Sandra, you're up.
Yes, I have a question on vacant lot. I know if, concrete's put in, it's no longer vacant or consider, vacant land. I have 2 lots in Cleveland One, it is vacant. It's back to back. So from one street to the other street, they're both, get together. But one on one end of the street, that one does have a fence already in place. The seller is leasing or letting the brother use the property. So he's got a few mobile, homes in there, which those will be removed.
Okay.
The one in the back, that one actually, it's, clear. It does have fence on the sides, but it belonged to the other two neighbors. So my question is, the one on the back could be considered vacant lot, but the one in the front, can that also be vacant lot? Or because it already has a fence in the front, it's not?
Well,
Or
we're looking for improvements like structures, like a pole
Okay.
barn or a house or whatever. I don't think a fence would consider it an improved at this point.
okay, what about the concrete where the
Again, I don't think so. You can tear down houses too, where you have just a foundation slab there or a driveway and it's still unimproved. I think
Okay.
you still use an unimproved lot. Don, any thoughts on that?
No, I agree. Whenever we think unimproved in that unimproved property contract, technically that slab, a well, septic systems, any of that's really improvements. And so, if you look at it technically, if you look at it literally, it's like, well, you should not be using the unimproved. But when you look at what the other options are, it's certainly not 1 to 4 family. Nobody can live there right now. So the real estate commission, my understanding is real estate commission says that unless there are actual structures on the property, then it's okay to go ahead and use unimproved.
Yep.
I mean, it's the same listing agreement anyway, but on the sales contract, it's still okay to use it, even though you're right, literally, technically, there are improvements there. Still okay to use unimproved.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I've seen some agents move on some of the larger lots, like farmer ranch, but even that's got things that you won't never use. So I think the unimproved lot's is the best way to go for most things. Yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good question though. Jeanette, you're up.
Could I go back to the thing about the insurance, about whether, that buyers have any other options? Can we protect them in any way by putting in something in special provisions, like a statement that says, if they can't qualify with the insurance premium that they'd like, that they can get out of it? I know you're going to say, I know what Don's going to say, you're rewriting the contract. But
no, we're going to say you're practicing law, what we're saying.
Don, what do you think?
I think if I were a seller and I saw a provision like that, where the buyer you're giving the buyer carte blanche to walk away whenever they want if they don't like it, and they're going to wait until the last second to check on their insurance premium, I wouldn't sign it as a seller. But I mean, just from a logical standpoint, but I mean, that's why you do it during the option period. They've got that ability already. If they just do it during the option period, they've already got the ability to walk away if they don't like it. So,
and if you're creating a clause that's subject to the buyer being happy with the insurance, now you're practicing law, which is against track rules. Broker has to prove it. Lawyer has to add it. Yeah.
See, Jeanette, I didn't say it. It wasn't me who said it. It was not me.
I knew what you guys were going to say.
However, if you have an attorney that had wrote language that wanted to add that to the contract, then from your seller or your buyer at that point in time, it'd be up to the seller to accept it, to Don's point, or not accept it. But
Usually what I do, I stress that a lot, like between the option period and the third-party financing, if it's financing. So if you put on the third-party financing 15 days, we're like, okay, you have option period. You didn't do your, due diligence on insurance. Then now you have to the third party. So make sure that everything's there before that expires. That way, at least, if they didn't do it in the first 7 days, they have another 7 days. But after that, I think that's, more than enough time for them to research and look into that insurance.
Exactly right. And additionally, they actually have more, depending on what it is. If the price of the insurance, if that's the issue, you're right, they have it during the approval period for the lending part. If it's actually getting insurance, they have it all the way up to 3 days prior to closing. So with the property approval part. So there are options, but the buyer should do it as soon as possible. to Don's point, sometimes they get trapped. They can afford it. They got approved. It's an amount more than they want to pay. Too bad, right?
Do I have the ability to share for a second? Share a screen?
Yep.
Let me see if I can find it here. Where is it? There. So this is the insurance addendum. This is the addendum, information about property insurance for a buyer or a seller, in bold print down here under
There we go.
your D. If the buyer has the option to terminate the contract, the buyer should make sure that the buyer and the insurance agent have completed the following steps before the option expires. And it goes into making sure that they can get insurance, making sure that it does all the things that they want it to do. So even this addendum says that they should be doing their due diligence as far as insurance is concerned. They should be doing that during the option period.
Yep.
All of that.
So you would recommend as a broker to include this document?
Wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah.
I mean, really, to me, this would be a document that we would add in at the time of buyer representation agreement.
Yeah.
I agree. That's what we do.
Yep. Good, Andy. So again, best practice around that's a good great time to do it. You're already doing your buyer tenant rep, your IABS, general information, and it follows up to do insurance probably and disclosure. So good. All right. I saw one more, Marie from Harlingen. Marie,
You're muted, Marie.
maybe she took a little step away or something.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, you can hear you. Yep.
Going back to that insurance, I mean, when you write a contract, should you kind of advise or write down, hey, listen, you have to do an inspection, you have to get insurance, and you explain to them about the property taxes, how they're going to be prorated 3 months. Also, when you have a listing agreement, when you have a listing, you go to the listing. I mean, ask the seller, what kind of insurance, homeowners insurance do you have? How much do you pay? They might want to. They might want to get the same insurance if they qualify for it. Am I correct?
Yeah. If their insurance company's already covering the property, it's a great idea to find out how much they're paying, their premium, and what the coverages are on that too. They should be able to share that and have that available as a listing broker. To your point, I also like getting the utilities too. Give me your utilities. You know, what's your average cost per month through the winter and summer as well, so I can show that. They're going to ask that when they come. So that's good, Marie. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more important than it used to be. It used to be an afterthought. Now it's one of those things we have to take into consideration right along with everything else.
Mm-hmm. Jeanette, you have another question?
Question about the HOA. If the seller disclosure states that an HOA is a certain amount, and that amount was from 2 or 3 years ago, and the seller puts that down, and it's like, you know, any amount over that, does the buyer have any, you know, like out for that because, you know, the seller said that that's what it was? And they, you know, at closing, we find out it's $500 more now than it was 3 years ago. Is the buyer protected in any way by that?
Well, they're in breach of contract. I mean, they're in breach. They're and whether or not it would give them the right to walk away, that's kind of an excessive remedy for that issue. You know, a lot would probably have to do with intent. Did they knowingly put a lower amount knowing that it's not correct, or did they just make a mistake? You know?
Right. And then, of course, the buyer's burden would be to prove the seller did it intentionally and then use an attorney to do something prior to closing. To Don's point, it's a breach. Now, we've talked before between a breach and default. They're not in default. A breach can be cured, sort of like a late delivery of earnest money, right? So what's the remedy? Probably some negotiation prior to closing, saying, hey, this was not disclosed. We don't want to, you know, take legal action, but you need to make us whole here before closing. probably the best route. Dodge going, it's true though, because there's something there where they're in breach. How do you resolve that?
As a listing agent, what I always do is I always check up on what the sellers have told me.
Yep.
I contact the homeowners association to double check all that information because, like I said, lots of times they haven't looked at it in 2 years and they have it on auto pay, with their credit cards, and they don't even know that thing went up, $200, $300. So,
Yep,
and that
and they
upsets
do.
the buyers when they come along and find out that it's more than what they stated. So
I think that's one of those things too. I wonder if the HOA addendum says we don't need this information, or did the buyers get the information? Because they're going to find out during the transaction if they receive the documents from the HOA what the annual fee is, right? And so, did the buyer opt not to receive it? The listing broker uploaded the form that says buyer doesn't need it. Then a lot of that comes back to the buyer and the buyer's agent, right? So there is a duty to investigate all of these things as well, regardless of what the seller tells us. Even the seller disclosure, right? They're required to let us know what they know at this time, right? Things that they've forgotten about, or things they or whatever weren't known about, they're not responsible for. Things that happen after that time too. So there's some things that doesn't protect buyers as well. They still have to do their inspection and they have to do their due diligence, right? So there's only so much accountability that the seller is held to in those regards. So stuff.
So that's on the seller side. Jeanette's talking about the seller, but maybe we should also talk a little bit about the listing agent who's putting it in MLS, who doesn't have the exact amount. And what they do is go look into the other listings that are currently listed to see what everybody else has, and then use one of those numbers or something like that. That can get an agent in trouble as well.
and you find 4 different HOA amounts in the same neighborhood.
So let's just average it out. Let's take those 4, divide it by 4, like put that number in. That's close enough.
Right.
That'll be good. That'll be
Anyway,
good.
we're going to get in trouble, whether for the buyer's agent or the seller's agent. We're still going to get in trouble in the middle.
That's where that representation stuff comes in.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
We got it, Marie.
Oh, okay. Going back to HOA, I have a question for you guys. So we have a lot of building and a lot of subdivisions, and I went to an open house the other night, and they had, okay, so you have an HOA? Oh, yeah, it's an HOA, Okay, so is it active? No, it's not active. Well, how can you have an HOA if it's not active? We have a lot of problems down here with that particular, that they're HOA, but it's not in writing. And I know because I live in a HOA community myself. So what do you think about that, Don? Or what suggestions?
Well, the contract specifically talks about mandatory membership, if there's mandatory membership in the HOA, but you're right. And maybe we're starting to see some more of that again, because we had that issue 2007, 2008. And that's why the HOA addendum is worded the way that it is, because there were, back then, you had so many foreclosures and so many short sales and things like that, where yes, there were deed restrictions. Yes, there was an HOA, but it wasn't active. They didn't have the money available, that they weren't collecting enough money to really be able to make sure and preserve that subdivision, that they didn't have the right to enforce those deed restrictions. And so maybe we're getting back to that. That may be maybe we're getting back to that issue. That's why the HOA is worded the way it was. The addendum is the way it is. If there isn't, it asks whether or not mandatory membership is required. That part of the contract doesn't really talk about the financial health or of that HOA or of the management company that may be managing it. So, yeah.
And I have a question. What about, shouldn't they disclose that before they even put a contract together to the buyer?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the very first part of that.
I said, shouldn't the contractor disclose that to the buyer before they even put a contract together?
That they have a responsibility in the seller disclosure, talk a little bit about the HOA, but yeah, I mean, that's where so many issues came up. It's where buyer moved in, found out that the HOA was not really active. And so they went and they sued everybody. They went and sued the seller for not telling them. They went and sued the listing agent for not telling them. They went and sued their own agent for putting them in the neighborhood. So, yeah.
That is correct. That is correct. I'm on the professional standards with the state.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been there, I don't know, a couple of years, 10 years maybe. But we had a case like that. And it is very, very critical. Okay, because some people that you need to explain that to the buyer, what they have to do and what they have to pay and why are you moving here? Because they think that they're just moving in there, but you have to pay to live there to keep the neighborhood in excellent condition. Okay, and a lot of agents don't disclose that. It's not just another house. It's a house where you have to pay to live. And explain what they have to do to live there. They have rules. They have all kinds of rules. They have a membership, and they also have a committee, and they also have meetings once a year, whether the insurance is going to go up or down or what's going on in the neighborhood. But a lot of agents don't disclose that to the buyers, and that's when that's when the buyers come back and say, well, my agent didn't tell me anything. Well, we have to disclose all that. Am I correct, Marty?
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Disclose what you know.
Yep.
I mean, that's why they made the pathway to getting the documentation from the HOA so much easier than it used to be. Used to be you could only get it from the seller if the seller paid for it and provided it. And that's why they added in that second section that now allows the buyer to pay for it and receive it as well. And when agents go and put check number 4 and say, you don't need it, that's why they're taking a huge risk in a case like that. For years and years, when the subdivisions have been in good financial shape, it's not an issue. It doesn't become an issue until it becomes an issue.
On top of that, you have that Trek designed HOA website that goes to. I'll send it out, but there's a website you can go to pull up the posted documents from most HOAs as well, so you can do your research up front. In addition to that, so you know what that website is, Don? It's like, I don't know. I'll get it out. Yeah.
Sorry,
I have it saved somewhere. Myrna, you're up.
Yes. Hi, Martin. I have a situation right now going on. I have a listing in Dallas, Texas,
Okay.
where I'm team with my client when, a prospect buyer calling wants to see the property. Most of these buyers doesn't have any representation. So,
Okay.
but Sunday, Saturday is very hard for my client to go and open the door. So I'm wondering, I hear someone that is from Dallas right now. I don't know, Mrs. Maddie. So I'm trying to see to get people from there that I can refer these leads,
Yes.
that they don't have any representation. So if someone is interested, give me a call, please. I will be more happy to share a lot of leads right now from that property that is in visual arts. Okay.
I'll connect you with Rick, our broker up there in Dallas, and we'll get you a good agent up there first.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep. You're welcome. That's awesome. Obviously taking a listing in Dallas, there is that problem. It's a 4-hour
Yes.
drive. Yeah. So, Colleen, you're up.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a couple of comments in regards to the HOAs is that, I try to, as just best practices, if I'm working with the buyer, before we even go under contract, I try to find out from the HOA what those fees are going to be, because that can affect whether or not they want to go forward with the purchase also, just like looking up insurance, all those things. But also too, I've learned through the years, the thing to watch out for, and you get to know this from different neighborhoods, a neighborhood could have more than one HOA.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to make sure that whatever house you're purchasing is in the correct HOA that you think for certain, what the HOA dues are. And you're right too. A lot of times the sellers, they don't always know what they're paying. I mean, I can't tell you. I don't think I've ever known, but maybe two people who actually knew when when they were filling out their forms, knew exactly what they were paying. So I would just tell them, I said, well, go look it up.
Mm-hmm.
You need to look it up. We need to have this number. It's not an estimate. We have to know this number. And then I try to back it up, too, by calling the HOA.
Right. That's a really good point you made there as well. Besides the HOA, the fees, the insurance fees, all the kind of stuff, utility companies, you have choices too. But there are some neighborhoods have multiple school districts. Some neighborhoods have different, jurisdictions. Like where I live, it's Conroe, Montgomery, and Magnolia, all in the same neighborhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, which school district are you on, based on which side of the street you're on too? So, which changes your taxes, which changes, all that stuff that's important to clients. So, very good. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else? Those are good. Obviously, it's doing now. The question for Don and Raul and the group as well. Doesn't matter which state you're in. I've been in obviously multiple states here. As agents, we're supposed to be the source of the source. We're point our clients to the source of the information, whether it be TREC, whether it be insurance commission, whether it be lending, whatever. These are things you need to figure out. We do not have a duty to investigate, though. This is one of those things where sometimes agents can get way out of hand digging things up, and that's not your job. Your job is to point things to your clients, to have due diligence, to know what you're talking about, of course, but not to knock on walls. We had an agent early on at this office that self-diagnosed mold in the walls and then kicked holes in the wall, for his clients. So he ended up paying for that. So you can't. So make sure that we're not investigating to find further problems, because that's not our job. So just a reminder. I was like, well, you did what?
Inspectors don't even do that.
I know. I was like, you did what? All right. Well, anyway, it does happen. So, Grace, you got something for us this morning as I'm calling her out?
No, not really. No.
Any issues up in Woodlands that we should know about? Like anything you're seeing as far as deals or problems?
No, but I want to go back to Colleen's point about the two HOAs. That's a very, very important point. And a lot of times the sellers don't put it it's not even in the listing. There's only one HOA listed. It's not in the seller disclosure. And the HOA addendum also, it's not. And it's a question for you, Don. If there is two HOAs, should they do two of these HOA property subject to homeowner association forms? Should the listing agent have two property subject to homeowner association forms filled out, one for each HOA?
I don't know if he hears you or not, but I don't think so. I think what we have to do is listen to agent remarks. There's two HOAs, that the request for information, if the buyer asks for it, seller to pay for it, would apply to both. But you would need to disclose that there are two HOAs in there. And you probably let the buyer's agent know, hey, there's two, and there's a cost for receiving information from both as well.
Yeah, and it's not just for the cost or even the annual dues, because sometimes one of these will be very low yearly, and then the buyer completely misses that, and he thinks it's a scam coming, and they already paid for one. Why am I paying for another one? Then it becomes one of those. Next thing they know, they get a lawyer letter demanding the payment. So.
Yep. Or threatening to foreclose upon them as well. Yep, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So, it gets missed all the way until closing, and it's on the closing where you have, transfer fee for this and transfer fee for that. And that's the only way to find out it's two different HOAs. So the title company had told me that the listing agent doesn't have to disclose, which I don't believe. But, they cover for each other. But that's something to be really careful about. Other than that, it's been a great weekend.
That's good. Okay, good. How about you, Sandra? Anything down in Pearland that we should know about? Anything different in different markets?
No, not really. I was about to type our Texas for Realtors class that we're having next Monday. So I was just going to share that on our messages. If anybody's interested, it's next week, next Monday, the 23rd, from 12 to 1 p.m. at our Pearland office.
Nice.
I I have a question for you. There's some agents that are still having a hard time trying to put forms together and download them after they list the property. And I suggest that they go to the agent, uh, to the agent forums where they can go ahead and get the training there. Am I correct?
Yeah, you can sign up for classes to learn how to do RSA and upload documents. That's what you're talking about, right? Through
That is,
yeah,
that is correct, sir.
yep, yep. I would definitely do that.
Uh,
Rachel there does a great job of teaching. So, and there's videos too, on-demand videos if they want to do it that way too.
And I love these classes. I feel like coming to school every Monday. How about that? And
I
then
love it.
and then Tuesday, and then Wednesday, and then Friday. So I just love it. I think very, very efficient, very, very good, very informative.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and I just wanted to reinforce the videos are good. The instructional videos.
Yes.
That's how I've been learning how to do things in the system. I just pull up. I don't remember how to do it. I go, oh God. So I go back to a video.
They're wonderful. One more comment to make.
Sure.
The title companies down here, what they do is they take care of the HOA. They disclose it. They go over it with the buyer, and they will not close until that is absolutely correct. If there is any issues in there. So the title companies down here, I tell them, I say, make sure you do this and that, and they do it. But most of the title companies down here will not close or fund it or whatever, until the paperwork is final and efficient to close.
Good. Good.
I have a question. Speaking about videos and training videos,
Yes.
how can I rewatch the training video from January 23rd with Jessica Sheridan? I tried to go back to the Smart Meet schedule, and it's used the link to go on the Zoom meeting, but I believe I remember it being recorded.
Yes, the smart meets are recorded as well. Let me see. You should have access to those to your. Let me look here. I'm looking. Hold on. I'm looking Rec 6 video courses. Coffee time from. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna log in as you real quick, Laura, and find out.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Then I'll show everybody and make sure it works. But yeah, all of the national programs are recorded, and they should be under your education and video courses. I'm looking here. Live trend videos. Let me look here. Smart training, agent training. Okay. Well, I'll find out, Laura, and let everybody know where those are, but they are stored somewhere. So
Yeah, because I've looked around, but I haven't been successful. So
What was the topic?
it was go ahead. It was time management.
Time management.
It was really good. She's also the one that did the Elevate series on the same topic. I'll find out where those are, but I know they have the Elevate there, and we're starting our. I was told that last week we're starting our Smart Start series for 2026 over again. I'll be doing one of those, and I'm doing the Smart Meet this month as well. So it should be fun. But I'll find out where those are stored for everybody. And then I see Ennis had before that goes. Ennis had a question. It says, "I wanted to get your advice on a situation that came up at a listing appointment yesterday. Property is a one-story home with an attached garage. The owner has added the apartment above the garage and would like me to list the property for lease. However, he mentioned that he intends to continue living in the garage while renting it out.
Wow.
Okay. Don, you want to answer that one?
Okay, so make sure I got it. So it's a one-story house with an attached garage. They went and added a garage apartment.
Yep.
And now the owner wants to live in the garage apartment while they're selling the house.
Well, they're leasing out the house.
Oh, they're leasing out the house.
Yeah.
Okay, and then wants to continue to live in the garage apartment afterwards.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, to me, that's just a straight up lease of the house, and the garage apartment's being leased out already. So they're sharing driveway and whatever else, but it seems like a regular lease.
It seems like the only gray area I see in this is you can't sublease out bedrooms in your house on the HER. You have to lease out the whole property. You can't lease out a room in your house.
Yeah.
And so shared, if it's separate, maybe a separate entrance, I think you're good. Like to your point, it's a separate rental unit, if you will. That'd be the only question I'd have is are they leasing out a room or the entire house, if you will?
Yeah.
And how is the property metered? You know, is there separate? Are there separate electric meters, separate water meters, separate gas? Or because now, if not, then you're going to have to figure out who's going to pay what portion of the utility bills.
Yep. And it is the entire house, which is great. And then the landlord's going to rent out the garage separate part. But is it separately metered? That's a good question. Or is that
or if it's got like a separate access to the garage, or is it coming from the main house into the second?
Yeah. There's definitely some things I'd get more information on before I did that.
Yeah, if it's separately metered, then it's like two separate residences, and you might even have two separate addresses. But yeah, it's
Also,
a single property, and
Also, the insurance carrier, if it's aware, they're aware, and it covers, this configuration in a way. Sometimes you have a house that was a homestead before. It kind of turns into an investment or second home. They move out, and then that insurance carrier now has to be turned or converted into for a rental, right, as an investment. So on this particular one, yes, like Marty says, it's just to see if it's possible to have it separate, or if it's going to be a roommate in a way. I mean, it's just a matter of seeing what kind of a lease agreement evolves. Yeah.
Yeah, the biggest thing there too is obviously you can put it on online, an ad in the paper, and say I'm looking for subleasing. I'm doing whatever of my own house. But HER has very strict rules about it. It's got to be a separate unit to actually list it for lease and rent it out.
Yep. That's true.
Yeah. Okay, Thad, you're up.
Yes, sir. Just a quick request down the road. For you, Marty, for you, Don. Maybe in some of the classes coming up, maybe we can touch on the issue of the new FEMA flood maps that are coming up. Just a general overview, maybe 30,000 feet overview in terms of, what that means, what it looks like, what our responsibility may be, those type of things, so.
Okay.
I can have one at the Woodland Stat. We'll have one here.
Thanks, Grace. So Grace says, she's going to have a class. I'm attending, Grace, so.
That's awesome.
I got you.
Yeah, she got you. I love it. But we need we'll just use the ladies here, Sandra and Grace, just filter your ideas through them. They can let us know what we need to do as far as classes go. That'd be good. No, I'm serious though. Anything you guys have an idea, email us to the broker line as well. About we have a lot of CE classes lined up the rest of the year. I think you're going to be pretty fantastic. Covered a wide gambit of topics, but we're always looking for things to do at the smaller level, local levels, and new offices too. So more value. All right, we have 10 minutes.
I have a question for you.
Yes,
On the MCE classes, are they going to be on Zoom?
On the what classes?
The CE.
Okay. Some are Zoom and in person, some are not. Wednesday's class is not on Zoom. I don't. It's Brian teaching the class on insurance and one on appraisal. The following month will be both hybrid. So I'll give you a list today, Marie, so you'll have know which ones are available by Zoom.
Okay,
We got to have an instructor that can do both, a hybrid, and some of them.
very, very good. And then one more question, going back to the rental housing. The gentleman that wants to rent the house and live in the garage, you might as well call it the garage because he's going to live in the garage. So I don't think if he wanted to do housing, he can't do that. Housing won't let him do that. There is no way, because I do a lot of housing, rentals, and they got some pretty strict rules. So if the best thing for him is to move out and rent the garage and rent the house and see if that'll work. But he has to have all separate meters, separate water lines, everything's separate.
Yeah, I'm curious on how much or how well finished that garage is too. If it's just a room, then it's a different story. But there's no access to heat or to water or to bathrooms, that kind of stuff too. But yeah, it may be a full functioning suite too. So anyway, great question though. Yep, good job, Maureen. Yep. All right, Don.
Sir,
You're finishing part 4 this Friday for Forms Friday, right? Of the 1 to 4.
yes.
Okay. It's been very, very good, but who knew to take, I suppose we should have thought that 4 hours would probably take the full amount, but still.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I know when I teach it at Champions, it takes 5 to 6 hours. I know now when we did it at Woodlands, it took 2-3 hour courses to get there, just about. And then, of course, we're going to finish it up in Pearland next week. We did finish it up in Katy. We did finish it up, but we didn't tie it to a
scenario.
Right. Yeah, we didn't tie it to a scenario. We just went through the contract itself. So yeah, it takes a while. It's an important document, and it's long. It's long on purpose. There's a lot of provisions there.
I will say it's one thing we started the call off my new construction deal where they use Trek forms, that the site agent, who's been around for about 20 years, so an experienced agent, in the, where it says the seller to pay a certain amount towards a service contract, a home warranty, that she put in the full purchase price of the house in that spot. I was like, oh, really? That's a really expensive home warranty.
Wow. You can tear it down and build it back all over again. Oh my God.
Did you want to put 260,000 in here? Oh, so I'm sorry. You got to be careful, right? Yes. Yeah. Will Legal One be offered by Home Smart anytime soon? Yes. In fact, I believe Legal One will be our April class, and then I believe our June class is Legal 2. So we do have those coming up very, very soon, and that will be done virtual and in person. Grace, you're up.
Yes, I have a Legal 2 at the Woodlands office in March, last Tuesday of March, that I just scheduled. And next Tuesday, actually, we have a class, 1 hour CE, free CE with breakfast first. It's going to be with a lawyer talking about deeds and deed transfers, again, between family members. And so bring all your questions and come, and it'll be just 1 hour, 10 to 11.
Yeah, be sure and put that in Facebook as well. So
Yes, I'll be sending the flyer today.
Cool. And send it to me, and obviously so I can get it out to everybody. So that'd be great. On both of those, that's fantastic. Okay.
We had a nice discussion in the Woodlands last week about entities as a party and how the signature should go. And a lot of times the problem is that when you put the entity in as the party, then it's going to automatically take that down to the signature line and say that's how it should be signed as a signature, which of course we know that's not right because the entity has no ability to sign anything. It has to be an individual. So we talked about, if it was a trustee, so-and-so as trustee for, or the name of the trust by so-and-so trustee. We talked about how that should go. So that was a pretty interesting conversation that we had in the Woodlands last week too, regarding all of that.
That actually might be a good class. We got a lot of questions at Broker Line around entities about, do I have to get everybody in the LLC to sign? Well, no, you have to get the one that has the authority to sign. Do you have documents for that? Right. And then how do they sign? They sign their name on behalf of blah, 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 the estate, the entity, the LLC, the corporation, whatever it may be, to your point. Yep. And if they have to have multiple signers, then there you know, right? But those are questions we don't know very often. We had a question today about team formation, right? That they asked, here's your team name. Do I have to have a LLC or a C corp, right?
Yep.
Right. So those are things that there's different things for in Texas. To be paid as an entity is one thing. To operate a business as an entity, it's another thing, right? So just be aware. That's one thing with this business. There are a lot of terms that are used for multiple different things. We've talked about before, escrow, and impounds and so forth that mean different things in context. So it's good that we are informed and can communicate with our clients what they mean.
Yeah, I think a lot of people haven't caught on to the change that they made regarding that now you can have an LLC. If all you get is paid by the LLC, then it has to be registered, but it doesn't have to have a broker. It doesn't have to have all of the things that are, if you operate as an LLC, if you're going to be doing your business as an LLC or a corporation, then you've got to go to the extent of making sure that there's a broker involved in all of that. Whereas if you're just being paid, nothing else, that you don't operate, you don't have it on your stationery, you don't have it on your signage, you don't have it anywhere, then you can just register it, and that's good enough.
Exactly. All right. One time for one more. Oh, Rose has got her hand up. Rose, go ahead. Rose. She's like,
She's not muted either, so I don't know. There.
Rose, do you have a question for us?
Rose?
Maybe you can put it in chat real quick.
There you go. I don't see it. All right. For Friday. Good. As I mentioned before, as we end the call, Wednesday, we will have our CE class, insurance for agents, and of course, a appraisal class, followed back to back, and then Don's Contracts 101 class, all in the Katie training room. We'll start from 10 to noon for first class. We'll have some food. And then I think Don starts at 1 to 4. But who knows if you're there early? Maybe you'll start early.
It could happen. I think since we almost made it all the way through the contract, really the only other part we really need to look at is probably page 10, how page 10 should be filled out, depending on which side the transaction we are on, how it should be filled out, if it's intermediary, all of that. And so I was thinking, since that won't take us 3 hours, maybe we'll look at how to calculate closing costs on behalf of a seller. I don't think we need to do it for a buyer necessarily because a lender does that, but calculating closing costs for a seller.
Okay, that'd be good. And I just now, literally while we're on the call, got the flyer for Wednesday's class. I'll get us out. And it's always never fails when you're waiting for somebody else, right?
Right. Yep.
Anyway, looks like a nice flyer though. So good. I'll get it out to everybody right after we're done with this class. So anything from you, Raul, before we close it up for the day?
I'm kind of typing up what's going to be happening on Wednesday. So we have from 10 to 12 morning class, and then 1 to 4 with Don. So Don was also mentioning calculating seller's numbers, seller's kind of net proceeds. Is that it, Don?
Yep.
Okay, I'm posting that. And yes, I did want to mention earlier when I lost my Wi-Fi. So there was we did a tour this Saturday, and it's on the new homes, and it's about 20 minutes away from here. It's a D.R. Horton up in the Northern Heights, kind of more like a T.C. Jesser, Northern Heights. And they're offering also the $99 down as earnest money. And of course, they're providing that 4.9 interest rate. So there's competition, and I would say, with the inside lenders, and our buyers always have that kind of a choice to make it happen. Kind of the lots are pretty small. They're about 2,000 square feet, and they have pretty much a 1,600 square foot home on them. But I think what sells there is within the older type homes or the resales, and I think that subdivision is bringing the prices up. So it's always good to, it's a win-win for the neighborhood, also for the buyer. And these little small homes in a way, but kind of uptown, looks more like the San Francisco type of homes with the terrace. You can't see downtown all the way from over there to here, but at least you can see the surrounding side streets. But where I'm going with this is, yes, that competition of zero down, with like Marty was saying, they also have the $99 down as earnest money, and totally refundable too. So they say if they opt out, it's refundable. So that's just to make it happen, and you can see what it takes, whatever it takes. There's more structuring on the loans to make it happen on the new homes with D.R. Horton. Yeah, and of course, there's always a bonus too for our agents.
Well, good. Yeah. I think there's a lot of opportunity right now as agents and buyers. There's lots of inventory out there. It's interesting to see some of the prices coming down. Some of the, I think overall it's going to be good. We're going to sell more homes, but there's an opportunity now to negotiate well for our clients. So, yeah.
Starting to see that shift where builders are starting to feel the pinch.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah. Stop recording. All right.